Hey everybody, it's Jim here and I love Japanese guitars. Today we're going to be checking out a brand that I have never gotten the opportunity to play in person. We're really going to be taking this one apart more than normal because when it comes to a Les Paul style guitar, there's more to meets the eye, so to speak. So we're going to be taking the pickups out and all that fun stuff to see all of the details. However, I'm very, very excited about this one. It came in a hard shell case. Let's check it out. All right, let's open this bad boy up. Woo! What a top on this one. This is a Crews Maniac Sound LS02. All right, we do have our original warranty card. This is a Crews KTR LS02 Flame Maple Cherry Sunburst. Serial numbers right there, as well as the date, June 28th, 2019 is when it was stamped, and then our music land, and then our actual contact information and some of the other brands that they also carry as well. Nice stuff. We also have our truss rod adjustment tool right here as well. Now, one thing I immediately like about Crews Maniac Sound when I started to really research the brand was the fact that all of the guitars are actually made entirely in Japan. And this guitar was finished off in the Terada factory, the same place that makes all those really, really high-end Gretsch guitars. So I know craftsmanship probably not going to be something I have to worry too much about. However, in order to see that, we're going to have to take out the bench and really, really give this thing a close look. Let's get to it. All right, everybody, there is a lot that I want to get into with this guitar and really go in depth. And the main reason I want to do so is so that I can provide somebody else who's potentially looking at this brand or this model specifically with concrete answers to questions such as how many pieces is the body? Does it have the long neck tenon? Is this a veneer or is it an actual maple cap? There's almost nothing in English, and I just want to be able to provide that if possible. So, to begin with here, before we take the strings off and really dissect this guitar, this top is absolutely gorgeous regardless of if it is a veneer or not. With the light right on it in the room, it really does have that 3D pop to it. Absolutely stunning in that sense. And on the back, what can we decipher? This is a 3-piece body. I can tell because there's a seam right there going in, and then there's another one right there. So you have your one main piece of wood right there, and then your two other ones on the side. Not the biggest deal with that, but that clears that up as far as the LS02 model. There's no push-pulls or anything on these electronics. It is very traditional in that sense. And yeah, just poker chip, straight up. Now I'm going to take the strings off so that we can check out what hardware this comes stock with, because I was assured this guitar had not been modified, as well as the pickups, and then also if this is a cap or a veneer, and if it has a long or short neck tenon. Okay, so for starters, this is Goto hardware. You have a T-ABR1, obviously modeled after an original ABR1 bridge, and just a Goto Japan stamped stop tailpiece. Now, one thing I find really interesting about this brand, they don't actually have an in-house factory. They outsource it to other factories, or in some cases other builders, to make the guitars for them, and they're made in small batches, so these guitars are not mass produced. Funny enough, these models, the LS01, LS02, and I believe the OSLs, were made by Deviser, also known as the people who make Momose and 77. So Crews actually make their own pickups. These are unlabeled, but that's not that surprising, especially given that this is one of the entry levels. There are some models of these that I've seen that have extremely expensive pickups if purchased separately. And yeah, I mean, when you really get into some of these high dollar ones, because you might look at some of these, if you look on Digimart or places of that nature, and see the prices and think, oh my God, these are rivaling the historic Gibsons. I mean, nothing is spared. No expense is spared whatsoever when it comes to their selection of this kind of stuff. All right, now for our moment of truth. And I like what I see. All right, let me stop blocking the light here. I kind of hang out. This does have a long neck tenon in it. And this is not a veneer. This actually does have a maple cap on it. So this amazing top really is a maple cap. That is unbelievable, especially considering that the street price of this new approximately 102 or 132,000 yen, which translates to around 1,025 bucks, give or take. Now, I kind of expected this, but it is nice to see. This guitar does come with CTS pots, and the wiring on it is done extremely well as far as the solder job. And that leads us to the neck of this guitar. I found this very interesting because I did not know this prior to receiving it. This is actually a compound radius, so it's 12 to, I believe, 16 is where it flattens out to at the bottom of the actual fingerboard here. But I know a lot of people are going to be curious about the actual dimensions of it. So we have our calipers. Let's have a look. 0.89 at the first fret, 0.98 at the 12th fret. So it's kind of beefy up here, but not overwhelmingly so. Some of the Gibson reissues of these classic guitars I've seen as high as 1 at the first fret, and that's a little bit too chunky, but this is a very, very comfortable C. It does remind me of a Deviser made neck in many ways. I'm not going to judge the actual frets on this guitar too harshly because this is a used guitar, but for the sake of the video and because I just have a routine here, I am going to check to see how level they are as of this moment. That's damn near perfect. Again, I don't know if this guitar did have any sort of level or anything like that in a previous time from the previous owner, but all I could say is the condition that it's in right now is absolutely wonderful. There's a few other things that I'd like to know construction wise, and that have to do with the neck itself. We're going to move the camera and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, I apologize, but when we were going over the body, I totally forgot to mention the fact that this has a nitrocellulose finish on it, which is absolutely great. Not something that's a big deal breaker to some people, but it's really, really smooth on this neck. And the reason why we're zoomed in on the neck right here is because I wanted to see if there was a scarf joint, like on the CE24 and some other guitars that do have that. This one does not. This is a one-piece neck, but it does have the little extensions right here, so technically it's a three-piece neck. But then again, even a core Paul Reed Smith does have those little side flares going off from the side. And then you have unbranded what appear to be Kluson style tuners with the serial number that begins with 5D. And finally, we're at the headstock, where there's going to be some controversy, I'm sure, in the comments and amongst everybody online who may see this video, because it does have a very similar kind of shape going on at the top here, but it says Crews in big letters, and I only really have a problem with brands that do this kind of stuff if they're labeling the guitar as something that it is not. And the fact that this also says Key to the Rock, yeah, from far away maybe you might think, oh, it's something else, but I mean, up close, nobody's gonna be actually fooled. Plus that combined with the fact that there are no nibs on these frets, it's very clearly its own thing. And now that I've had a closer look at this guitar, I can say I'm very impressed with the construction of it, the attention to detail, as well as the decisions that were made that allowed the instrument to be made at a very high level, however, keep it at an affordable price point without sacrificing the important stuff. But none of that matters unless it sounds good through the amp and unless it feels good when I'm playing it. For the upcoming sound demo, we will be using the Victory V40 Deluxe combo mic'd up by the SM57 microphone. Any drive that you hear will be from the Benson Preamp, except we will be doing some higher gain stuff. I put that in quotations because that's not really my style of music, but we got a Les Paul style guitar. I might as well give it a shot. We're going to use the Walrus Audio Eras for that little section. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this was the Crews Maniac Sound LS02 Flamed Maple 2019, and this is a damn good guitar. Regardless of how you feel about other brands using classic shapes and kind of making it their own thing, or kind of leaning back into the nostalgia effect as far as the design. I know some people will look at the headstock and immediately think, that's terrible, how can they get away with doing something like that? Well, the first thing I have to say to that is, this guitar is not available new to purchase in the United States. It's part of Japan's domestic market only, so it's not something that a modern maker in America would be able to do, the kind of open book thing here going on. And the second thing is, I mean, it's not fooling anybody. If you see this logo right here, you're not going to be mistaken to think that this is a Gibson guitar. However, the guitar itself, it plays great. I have to really give credit here. I'm not a lead player, and I don't think I played any lead that's going to make it into this demo here, but the compound radius, I thought it was gonna feel a little bit more unnatural. I actually really like it. It feels a little bit more accessible than a typical just 12 flat all the way down that you would find on a regular Gibson Les Paul. Granted, again, I don't think I'm gonna find myself playing those kinds of searing leads, as I am mainly a funk / rhythm guitar player, but I think that was a nice surprise. Outside of that, guitar balances really well. I actually stood up with a strap and played this for quite some time in between just to get a feel for how it would go, and it was great. It was absolutely great, and they did a great job with this guitar in general. My only real question is, what is one of their higher tier models going to be? Because keeping in mind, this is a guitar that is on their budget side of things at 132,000 yen on their website. I'd love to try one of the super high-end ones. Do I think it would necessarily be worth the money at that point? I gotta be honest with you guys, I can't see myself ever spending $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 on any instrument. Doesn't matter if it's a Crews Maniac Sound, a 77, a Gibson, a vintage Fender. I'm just too rich for my blood, just too rich for my blood. But you know, just the thought that there's something that much significantly better than something like this, it does intrigue me. And maybe one day if I'm over back in Japan, I'll have the opportunity to give one of those a go. You never know. Crazier things have happened. But overall here, the fact that I got this guitar for under $1,000, and I know if you made it to this point in the video, you're probably wondering, where can I buy one of these guitars? Unfortunately, right now, because they make these in such few quantities, you're not able to buy a new one, and you wouldn't normally be able to buy a new one anyways in the United States. You'd have to go directly to Japan to be able to do that. But that being said, they do pop up on the used market on Reverb. If you could find one of these for, you know, around $1,100, $1,200 or less, you're getting a really fair deal, and you're getting a lot more than your money is actually paying for, in my humble opinion, because this is really a superb instrument. And comparing it to some of the domestic guitars that we have available in a similar kind of price point, you're looking at one of the Gibson Tributes. I would take this every single day over one of those. Not that there's anything wrong with those guitars, it's just I think that this is just a stellar, well-made instrument with very little compromise indeed. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and comment. I enjoy making these videos, I really do, and I enjoy checking out more of these brands. So if there's another brand that you have interest in from Japan, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see what I can do, see if I get lucky and I'm able to find a great deal on something like that, like I was able to do with this 2019 Crews Maniac Sound LS02 Flame Maple. Really unbelievable guitar. But that's all. Take care, go play your guitar, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, everybody.